Hi guys, so this is my next project, Azuric Rise of Perathia. This is an Xbox launch title that was widely panned and banished to video game hell for basically being bad. But it's a verdict I thoroughly disagree with. It was held back by like clunky controls and really weird camera movement, but you get used to that. Its worst crime was probably its severe lack of direction, but I actually view that as a really good thing. This is basically the antichrist to modern day Call of Duty incredibly linear style games, and you will see this game is ridiculous for leaving it up to you to find out where to go and what to do in a really good way, honestly. The game is very much like Nintendo 64 era Zelda titles. It's got a big central location, sweeping areas that come off of it, and it boasts a soundtrack from Jeremy Soule. So we're talking about Guild Wars 2, Skyrim, Morrowind, Oblivion, Company of Heroes. All these games, before working on their soundtracks, Jeremy Soule did Azuric. It's very fantasy, but it's also kind of Star Wars, and that goes for both the music and the gameplay. As a young teenager, this was like exactly the sort of big world I was excited to run around and discover. And maybe if you feel like you've been missing that recently with new games, which I certainly have, maybe this Let's Play will bring that back for you somewhat. It's a big world, it's lonely, and very moving. Anyway, enough rambling, let's jump in.
Perathia, an ancient world where elemental forces are harnessed. Earth, air, fire, water, life. Mystical discs from ancient Diluvian technology are keys to the realms that harbor these violent forces. We are the Law Guardians, protectors of the elemental discs, sworn to a life of honor, mastering the elements in the ways of the ancient Diluvians. Generations ago, the Death Disc was hidden, and to this day remains unrecovered. Now, the balance of the elements is lost, and Perathia is doomed to chaos. The prophecy of the elements foretells that two men will battle for control of the discs. One with selfish ambition, and one with a pure heart. Your adventure begins here in the Water Realm. The destruction of the discs has caused you to lose your elemental powers. As you search the elemental realms for the various disc fragments, you will also want to search for ways to restore your elemental powers.
Okay, I think this is about where we were. Okay, I should explain something, guys. Hello, I have actually skipped a little bit of this game already. There is a tutorial at the start, but it's not a very good tutorial. And like the main thing with this title is you're going around exploring and trying to find new powers, okay? Especially for like the early game. Very, very, very important part of the game. And the tutorial just gives you all of these powers straight up, and I feel like it removes a lot of the fun. So I've actually skipped it for the LP. I will show it to you later, though, once we've got our powers and it won't necessarily spoil anything. There is a cutscene attached to it too, which just goes on about some fairly important plot, but also I feel like it's a bit too front-loaded. So again, we will be seeing that, but I'm going to be like filtering that to you as we visit the town. The town being the central area of this game. It's actually behind this firewall, which we can't pass. If we try and walk into it...
This wall of fire blocks your way to town. To proceed, you will need to extinguish the wall of fire with your water power.
we get this mystical voice that tells us that we can't get through, and we need the water power to get back home, basically. This mystical voice is a character known as the Oracle, basically. The game is incredibly lonely, and as I said, it doesn't direct you very clearly on where you need to be going. Mostly you're just out there with your own wits to figure out where to go, but there are these panels known as oracles, and as you walk close to them, they give you vital information about the world. So, for example,
launch yourself across the ocean by jumping into the water spout.
This dude tells us we can launch across the ocean by jumping into the water spout. There's this little enemy here. These are called Sleeths, first enemies of the game.
The cross will replenish your health.
And the game basically is just really bad at the start for tutorial stuff. It's not that bad, but basically every little thing you do is going to be giving you pop-ups saying, oh, this does this, this does this, this does this, way before you need to know. Like, for example, so there, we killed the Sleeth, and he dropped a health pickup in case he'd hit us. This guy did as well. It's very easy early on, but you see these gems that I'm picking up? These have a really practical use and important reason for collecting them that you have no idea what that could be right now, and it gives you a tutorial, like, pop-up saying...
Press the Y button while moving forward to jump. You can also press Y while moving forward to climb onto a ledge.
Yeah, so you can also climb around in the game like so. It even tells you how to jump. But like, it gives you these tutorial pop-ups on what these gems do, and even though it tries to tell you what that means, you just wouldn't have a clue. So what I've also done is just skipped through that as well. Like, when I pick up this ruby, I'll just quickly cut through it. There we go. And we'll talk about it when it's actually relevant. Like, what I'm quite excited about with this LP is a lot of what the game does badly, like, isn't a problem for you guys watching, like, at all, because like, camera controls, you don't have to care about camera controls. Direction and where you're meant to go, you don't necessarily have to care about that. I can talk to you about why something would be hard to find, or where I personally went wrong while playing this game before, but I'll always know where to go, and it'll be a fully guided run through, so you don't have to deal with those frustrations. And like, the way it portions out the story as well, like, I can portion it out in a better way. So like, this is one of the reasons I'm quite excited about doing this. Right, so what is our goal right now? As the Oracle told us, is to jump into the water spout there. You also notice there's an island over there with a weird pickup, and we can't jump that far. This is our jump, okay? We can't do anything else. However, eventually we will be able to jump over to that, because basically, if you get far enough in this game, you sort of learn and gain the ability to fly. Like, not full-on fly, but this is the kind of extent that this game gives you powers. It's a fully open world, but because of stuff like this, like, you can see in plain sight, most of the time you'll be seeing in plain sight places you could go, but you're simply not able to because you haven't, like, got that as a part of your character yet. And I think that's the best way to do exploration. Like, it's not stupid gimmicky little reasons why you can't go here or there. It's because, like, you need to just grow your character more. You need to do other stuff early. And I love that about this game. There are so many areas that you'll find and you'll be like, what am I supposed to do here? And then hours later, hours and hours and hours later, you'll come back and realize, oh, I'm here now. And that's awesome. Here's another example over here. This ice block, we can jump over to this and speak to the Oracle.
This is the central part of the water realm. Once you've recovered your water and fire powers, you can combine them to melt the ice block and gain access to other parts of the water realm.
So the general idea of this game is we've got a town, and then there's lots of different realms representing different elements sort of spreading off of it that you can visit. But it's not like a small map each time. Usually it's an enormous zone. You see all that water out there? Those icebergs way off in the distance, that cool looking gate with the mist behind it. All of that is traversable terrain and new areas and new zones. But all the time, like, you're just stopped. So right now, we can't melt this ice block. We need to melt this so that we can jump over. There's no way to, like, jump around. And that's the way that the game structures itself. And it's really, really quite cool. I also was going to say at the start of this LP, I was going to talk about, like, the art style of this game. Because, like, it's an...
To swim?
Yes, we know how to swim. Because it's an Xbox One game, okay, right? So, like, the quality isn't, like, amazing. Obviously, they didn't have... Technology hadn't come that far. We can't expect too much. But they did, like, do quite well with the art. And there are cool things to see. Like, there are giant waterfalls and then lava falls that flow down alongside one another. You know, gates like that off in the distance, that weird statue over there. I think it still looks good. It stands the test of time. And there's an awful lot of that in this game that keeps it fun to explore. That giant thing off in the distance there, that's a whirlpool. You can't see it. We will eventually visit it. That's a whirlpool, and it looks crazy. It's sort of one of these butt clench moments. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I don't want to spend too long just jabbing about on what I call the beach. This is the beach area. We're going to jump into the water spout, and we're going to fly through the sky in ridiculous fashion with the lovely pixelated stars, and head, again, as I was just explaining, we're still in the water realm. And I'm going to be having, like, pop-ups on this LP because basically I'm playing this in a 4:3 aspect ratio. And I can stretch that to be 16 by 9, and you guys will have to tell me whether that looks any good. But for the times that I'm not, I'll have actually, like, I've created, like, I've been doing stuff arty, guys. I've, like, been in Photoshop and been doing cool stuff and doing, like, little animations and stuff. I'll have, like, informational panels, you know, like what people do with Pokemon LPs and stuff. So, that'll be on the side. Why am I talking about this? Yeah, and what I'll do with each of those is represent to you guys which realm we're currently in. Right now, we are still in the water realm. We're just really far away, like, from where we were earlier, and with no way back, as it would seem. That was another firewall there, as you just saw, which we cannot get through. And basically we've got like a little mini section here. Looks pretty cool, where we are going to get our first power. Like, this video will have the first power in it, don't worry. There's a lot of this game is getting new powers, but this episode will definitely have our first. Behind that wall is an extra pickup there, like the one that we saw on that island. But sadly, we haven't actually managed to get to any just yet. And again, like, that's a recurring thing with this game, and that's one of the things I really enjoy about it. You know, there's so many games, like we were talking about Tomb Raider, the game I played previously, where a lot of the time you would get power-ups and pickups and stuff before you had any idea what they were really used for. Like, there was one occasion where before you got the Ascender, you'd find that tomb that you could break into. One occasion. But mostly, actually, no, maybe it was more widespread than that. But I really enjoy that about games, anyway. And Azuric does this to a phenomenal extent. Like, really, really well. Anyway, we're going to keep killing these sleeths. You do eventually get stronger, of course. You can kill them quicker, and it's all tied into the magic system for the game. There's another oracle here who says,
"This part of the water realm is blocked from working by a ring of fire. Put out the ring of fire with the water spout to collect your first power, the water power."
Okay, so he gives you a little bit of information. Honestly, like, a lot of the time it's kind of hard to process everything he says, but don't you guys worry about that. And here's an example of how expansive this world is. You see that waterfall all the way up there in the distance with that like, rock? Well, that might look like background stuff to you, but you can actually travel there and get up there, and there's a secret up there that we will eventually get. Like, so that hopefully does demonstrate to you guys. And this was a launch Xbox title too. 10 days after launch. Does that still mean it's a launch title? I think it's pretty much still a launch title. 10 days after the Xbox original came out, this game was released, and I think they did some great stuff. Anyway, so here's our power. It's right through there. But again, there's more firewalls, and we can't get through basically, that's our water power behind there, which we're going to use to put out firewalls, but the firewall's blocking us in the first place, so what are they doing there? Well, there's another direction that we should be going in. Over here, you'll see there's sort of an icy section. And, like, the water realm doesn't necessarily mean, oh, it's just oceans everywhere. Like, they really tap into every type of water scenario you could possibly think of. This here is a save pad. This is the way you save in this game. Just step on it, saves in a couple of seconds, you're done. I think they look quite cool, and then it's glowing once you've been on it, and you can step back on if you want, if you've maybe got some pickups before finding a different one. And basically this game is very punishing. If I had died, for example, just before I stepped on that, I would have been right back to the start of the game. I wouldn't have had anything. Every single pickup you find in this game, and everything you do, all your progress will be lost. All enemies respawn, everything. It's really punishing. There's actually a cheat when I was younger, when I was first playing this game. Used to use a cheat all the time that allowed you to save anywhere. And I might show off some of those cheats because they're quite funny. But yeah.
If you collect 10 or more obsidians, you can return to the Temple of the Elements for additional abilities.
Okay, so we've not even been to the Temple of the Elements yet, though. But that's in town. We will get there eventually. Obsidians are, like, the best pickups in this game. They're the main thing you're going to be looking for, and they'll be the ones that make you, like, poop yourself when you see them. You'll be like, oh! Well, except stuff that progresses the main story. For example, like this. Here's another ice block, and inside it, there's another pickup. That is actually a fragment of the water disc. Okay, so the idea behind this game, okay, is that the discs that you heard about at the start have all been destroyed and spread all around the world. Now, why that happened would have been answered if I'd played that video from the tutorial to you guys, but as I say, like, it's not vitally important just yet, and I'd rather sort of piecemeal it out. So we get a little cutscene here showing us how we may be able to put out the Ring of Fire. So the idea here is we're exploring the world to try and find those fragments. That's like the main thing. If I press back, you'll see here it's telling me what gems I've got. So I've got 19 sapphires, 10 emeralds, 8 rubies, 17 diamonds, 1 obsidian. And you'll see around this circular thing in the middle, which represents the axiom, it's showing me all of these different discs These are what we're collecting. There's 4 shards to every disc. And to complete the game, we gotta find the discs again and restore balance to Perathia. So that's the idea, and that was our first one down in this area, but again, it's blocked. We can't pick it up because of the ice block. That will in fact be the first fragment we ever get in this game, but it's probably not going to happen in this video. It's a little while away, as you will soon see. But yeah, what else was I talking about? I was saying about the obsidians, basically. That, yeah, if you pick them up and you haven't saved, then you will just lose them. Oh, yeah, I was talking about cheats. That's what I was talking about. So there are cheats. There's, like, one that gives you, like, a big head mode, which is pretty funny. There's one that just maxes all your powers and stuff out straight away. And because of the nature of the way this game's designed, that means literally, like, you've got access everywhere in the game, you know. There might be, like, a big jump that you need to have, like, absolute max air power. You basically need to be able to fly to get to the other side of. You pop that cheat, and then there you go. It doesn't matter. You've basically skipped the whole game. You fly across, and then you just travel wherever you want to your heart's content. That's sort of the way it's designed, and that's one of the cheats. But we're obviously not going to be using those. We're going to be getting most of our power-ups.
Vines. Push forward on the left thumbstick to climb them.
This might seem annoying right now with these pop-ups and this guy just randomly talking to us. Enjoy it, though. Enjoy the most of it while you can, because I promise you guys, like, that fades away incredibly quickly. In fact, I think that might be one of the last random pop-ups like that you get. And you're on your own after that. You really are. Like, the voice acting and direction and stuff really seems like an afterthought in this game. Well, this is the thing. Was it an afterthought? The main reason this game did get bad reviews was because it just had no direction for players. Like, you're just thrown into the world. And I'm wondering whether that was a design decision or maybe some kind of budgetary or time constraint that caused that. I like to think that maybe it was in the design. This is very sort of, you know, a lot of old games are much older than the Xbox games, honestly. Like, people were expecting more by the time this came out. They definitely were. But a lot of old games kind of had this philosophy where you were just thrown into the game world and you sort of had to discover, particularly if you think about, like, old Zelda games. And I don't know, I feel like maybe they were trying to emulate it here. And once you sort of learn the pace of the experience, then you really do start to appreciate how the game functions. Like, really, it's so much slower paced if you don't know where you're going, much more meticulous sort of exploration, that where you're just sort of exploring this environment and just getting really, really immersed into the music that's playing in the background and just end up having a lot of fun. But it was a pace that I think a lot of reviewers and stuff, when they got their hands on it, just didn't agree with, and it got blasted. It really did. So here, look, we've got a cave here. Actually, hold on. Do I just need to walk along this? Yeah, we need to come along this bridge. Be careful here. You want to jump over that. If you do fall, you can take a lot of damage from falling and die.
Action button.
So yeah, there are switches in the game. You press X. Yeah, they give you a tutorial for that. It's not really what people needed for direction, but they do give you one. And that's because
You've turned on the water spout. Now, find the control lever to put out the ring of fire.
And as this thing is, like, trying to explain to us, now we just need to find another switch that will enable us to, like, fire that water as a cannon almost. But yeah, there's this cave here, which is very dark, right? If I look at this wall, you guys basically can't see anything. It's designed to be dark, and that's because later on we're going to have other ways of illuminating areas. So early on in the game, there's actually a big cave system there that will eventually take you, like, quite high up, for example, to that waterfall that I was talking about. But until we have the ability to see around in there easily, and particularly some other stuff that's deeper in the cave, we can't really do anything in there just yet. There's another obsidian on this platform. I think this is our first above ground one we've got. And Azuric does this cool little animation where he says, "An obsidian!" And we will be getting used to that because he's going to do that an awful lot. I always enjoy picking up obsidians underwater because there's no animation and you can keep moving around. But when you pick them up above ground, that you get no such luck. Plenty of emeralds here. It's not actually vitally important. Basically, we're going to get perks every time we find 100 of each of these gemstones. And as I said, I'm not going to tell you what that does just yet. But we're going to get perks each time we get to 100. But there's tons of them all around the world. Try not to get too OCD, guys, about finding them all. Because, I mean...
Press the X button to activate the lever. Use the left thumbstick to control the lever. Press X again to deactivate the lever.
Okay, sure thing. Because if you're just trying to go for every single one, it's going to be ridiculous. Like, all that water down there, there's plenty of gemstones and stuff which you can swim around and try and get if you want. But I'm going to opt not to. So here we need to use the water to put out the ring of fire. The interesting thing about this, though, is unless I do it straight away, if you take too long, like there's 2 bits there, if I try and put those out, if you don't put it all out at once, basically, the whole ring comes back. Now, what this means is if you get lucky and you do just like the right circle and angle it just right, you can put it all out very quickly. But sometimes I've been stuck on that for like, not gonna lie, like 2 minutes solid, like 120 seconds of just like spinning my thumbstick around desperately trying to get into that. So be careful. Also be careful when jumping down here. If you jump into too shallow of an area, you'll just instantly die. There are these enemies here called barnacles. If you're wondering how I know what the enemies are called, it's all because of the manual. The manual's actually got a lot of lore and cool stuff in it. It's got like poems and well, not poems, but like legends and stuff, and it's all annotated by one of the characters in the game that we saw in the first cutscene. Like, there is a lot of cool stuff going on with the manual, and it's like I say, I'd like to share that with you all. Maybe not in these first couple of episodes, maybe, you know, when we sort of achieve a bit of a status quo, I'll start doing that to spice things up at the start of each episode. But here, check it out, look at this disc! As we walk forward, it lowers down. And do they happen? Yeah, and then the fires come back on. So our only option is to pick up this disc, which I think looks so cool. Like the refraction effects and stuff, the lighting in this is so cool. We'll pick this up, and voila! This is our first power.
You can use your water power to extinguish a wall of fire.
The water power. One of the things that I think this game got absolute best is the way that they do the control scheme for like your powers. Basically, I hold down the left trigger, and then on an Xbox controller, if you can imagine it, you've got Y is yellow, B is red, A is green, and X is blue. So if I press X blue for water, while holding down that trigger, you'll see it's glowing in the bottom right, and when I release, it's going to power my axiom. So this is really weak at the moment. This is just water level 1, really weak, and it looks kind of pathetic. You'll have to excuse it, but to put out the fire, we're going to attack the fire with the axiom charged with water, and it's just going to very unceremoniously go out. Like, don't let that jade you too much, though. There's a lot of cooler stuff coming up. But yeah, that's our water power 1, and the way that this is going to work is we're going to keep getting different elements and stuff that keep going, and give us more and more stuff that we can touch with our controller. If you think about the opening cutscene and the different elements that were talked about there, and then you think about an Xbox controller, maybe you can start to think of where this is going. I wish I'd mentioned this earlier, but the really cool thing about this game is you can combine elements. If you've ever played Magicka, quite a new release, very popular release, if you've ever played Magicka, you'll know like how crazy that can get. Basically, this is the Magicka system. This is so later on maybe we'll get fire or we'll get various other elements, and we can start combine, not only summon them onto our axiom, but combine them with one another. And just like in Magicka, there are offensive spells that you can cast and defensive. So right now we only have water, so we only have one spell. But as we get further in, we're going to find that there's different armors that we can get and all kinds of crazy stuff. Also, now that we have our water power, Sleeths aren't weak to water, necessarily. They're weak to a totally different element, like a very unique one. But they do die quicker.
Globes replenish your water element.
Okay, sure. I'll explain that in a second. But they do die quicker now that we have water, just because we got, I guess, that extra bit of kick to the axiom. So that's quite nice. The big ones in particular will die quicker. Again, here we're in a dark cave that we're sort of forced to walk through without any way of illuminating it. So just hug the right wall and you'll be okay as you come out the other side. And yeah, as we attack with this weapon, while it's charged with water, you'll see that the blue bar in the bottom right-hand corner is slowly going down and down and down. As that goes down, though, if we kill enemies, sometimes they'll drop big glowing blue orbs. Not sapphires like these, but glowing blue orbs that help to replenish that particular element. And in this way, we can hopefully sort of keep our water power. But, you know, when you go into fiery and lava areas where things might be weak to water, sometimes they just don't drop it at all. So you're, like, savouring your water and you're savouring different elements. There are these enemies here with gems on the back of them, and if you kill them, they will always drop the orb of that colour. So this guy will always drop a big water orb, which pretty much fully replenishes us, which is nice. So anyway, we've got another firewall here, which we can just sort of prod our way through. We collected 2 obsidians here, and actually we're on our way back home now. Now we've got the potential to get through that firewall. We're just gonna hit this save pad, go through this cool little cave. I love this running river. You can actually jump in the river as well, and it will take you where you want to go to. I'm gonna keep along this bridge, and there's cool little bridge sound effects, like the creaking of the bridge is so awesome. We're gonna grab these and actually head through here. And all that distance we got fired through the water spout, we're now gonna close the gap and be pretty close to where we were before. And don't worry guys, the video, I'm not going to end it just yet, but it will be pretty soon. Before you sort of progress forward, do turn around. See, I love this area. It looks so pretty, so cool. But yeah, here's the river. If we were walking in the river, we would have come through. There's actually an obsidian over here too, which I believe you're meant to jump to from above, but if you're just sort of cunning, you can sort of grab it like that and bug the animations out and actually get your way through. And as you can see, we're now out in the open waters. This can look really scary at the moment, but actually there's a current that won't allow us to swim all the way out there just yet. So we are still a little bit limited. That's like one of the only gimmicky things that stops you from just going crazy, because there's a lot of places to explore over there, I promise you, an awful lot. So instead, what we're going to do is just grab some gems. There's another oracle here that I'd like to listen to for completionist's sake, and we'll make our way home.
Now that you have obtained your first power, water, return to the beach and then travel to town. Once in town, follow the emeralds across the bridge to the Earth Realm.
That was ridiculous. The one thing with oracles is you should probably kill the enemies around there, because they always seem to decide they want to attack you the second you go near one. Like, it's so ridiculous. What's up with that? So you're like, because if you move away from the oracle, it stops playing the sound effect. You've got to listen to it all again. So you stand there desperately hoping that they won't hit you when they obviously eventually are. That's probably going to happen quite a few times. Just try and clear the area out first. But yeah, we got a couple of rubies here. And a teleporter. This is a gold teleporter, which the oracle will explain.
Gold teleporters are always active.
They're always active, okay? And it sort of words that in a really weird way. And it words it as such because there's actually another type of teleporter in the game. Silver teleporters. Silver teleporters, you have to like find both. Like you create a link. So you find one and activate it, but it won't take you anywhere. And then when you find its corresponding teleporter, then they'll both light up and create that connection. So silver teleporters, you have to find both. Gold teleporters are always active though, and you can always get through. So that's what it's trying to explain there. And one of the platforms you may have cunningly spied earlier was actually the other gold teleporter, which we couldn't quite reach. But here, see, it's right here near the beach. If you want some, can you see all the way over there in the distance? I'll probably zoom in. That's the oracle we were just next to, and you can see the teleporter next to it. So that's sort of the perspective on where we were just now. Lots more to explore for the water realm, but for now, we're sort of done. I would say, though, down here in the water, there's a third obsidian for us to collect. Fourth obsidian? Yeah, a fifth obsidian. Why is that 5? Alright, well, there's a 5th obsidian for us to collect just down behind this big rock. Again, there's like loads of gemstones and things to be had as well. But what we're going to do is try and find the obsidian, which is just down there. It's kind of weird playing with a controller, and an Xbox controller at that. Oh my god, guys, when was the last time you played like an Xbox original? I've not got like one of the massive, huge, fat controllers that people always used to complain about. And then Microsoft were like, oh, we thought that it was good, because all of like their play testers had just insanely huge hands, apparently. Now, I've got one of the original Xbox controllers, but like the smaller size version of it. It feels really weird, and it's weird because like playing with thumbsticks, you can't, for example, what can't I do? I can't like move the camera while raising or sinking, because to raise or sink underwater I have to press one of the, the buttons, and then I can't have my thumb on the other stick. It's weird, man. I haven't played like consoles for a long time, and that makes me sound like some kind of ridiculous hardcore PC gamer. That's not true at all, but I guess the last year or so. I mean, I've played Halo 4. That's like the only console game I've had. Anyway, the old Oracle platforms won't actually update as you progress through, so don't stand next to that again expecting them to tell you something new. There is just one Oracle that will update as this game progresses, and he will always tell you exactly where you need to go, or like what realm you need to be in, what exactly you're looking for, which is like your best bet if you're totally stuck, and I'll show you that next episode. But for now, guys, I think I will leave this episode 1 just here. It's been quite a long one, so I have to leave it. This is the town, though. Next time, there will be a lot more story to come. I'll be explaining a lot more, and we can explore the town, we can meet the NPCs of this game, and really start to explore. There's another fragment up there. Oh, I can't wait. It's just going to be really good. I hope you guys are enjoying. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.